What's up, guys? Brand new podcast. I've been excited for a while, actually, to put this episode out. It's Brian MacDonald. Brian plays bass in the band PVRIS, and he goes way back with Nils. Nils was in Brooklyn a few weeks ago and did this podcast spontaneously with Brian, one-on-one. Keep that in mind for the audio quality. This was recorded on location and not in my studio. This is actually the first episode I'm not on at all. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian MacDonald.
Your last name's Schmitka?
Yeah. Dude, you're like the Donald Trump of podcast, just blurting out nonsense.
Cauliflower.
No!
I was red with anger.
Mama didn't raise no quitter.
Eggs and Eggs brought to you by Rite Aid brand whiskey.
And we're live. This is a absolutely spontaneous
right off the bat podcast.
I'm absolutely honored to be sitting with Brian MacDonald.
Honored? I don't feel that way. I don't feel like you should be honored. Like so let's actually rewind it back for a second. Nils and I are really good friends.
Yeah.
More so brothers.
Yeah.
So I feel more so honored to be in a presence where I respect someone so much. So you know, it's great.
This guy absolutely flatters me. Anyway, we're just starting. This is absolutely last second. We're just starting to record. I just was like, what we were talking about was so exactly the theme of Kegs and Eggs podcast that I was like, we need to be discussing this, and that's that theme of nostalgia and you know, those good meals that you have or those good memories that you associate, you know, anything with smells or food or drinks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of Kegs and Eggs. I don't know, Brian, I don't even know how much I've told you about it. It's kind of like just like a little passion project. Mm-hmm. We don't have like a big following or anything, but it's, you know, we have a loyal, smaller fan base right as of right now. But we're kind of like a food and drinks based podcast, and we've actually been doing a lot of local Montreal comedians. So we've actually been kind of in the comedy scene, but it's all about. We kind of try to keep it about food and beverages.
Of course,
and you know, all that stuff. But anyway, we were just talking about Brian and I had an awesome experience in Ireland. And we were just talking about Ireland, and I was like, we got to get this on.
Yeah. It was very nostalgic in a way where it's like, you know, relating back to what you were saying, where it's, you know, it's a food and like, you know, it's a very like cultural, like, you know, where are you going? And it's like indulging in that, you know, atmosphere. But I guess it's like, you know, like what we were saying earlier, it's just, you know, where I was in, like, you know, like I play music, and you know I'm very grateful to do that with. You
did
know,
we even mention? Did I even mention?
I don't think so, but it's okay. It's like, you know, no, it's all good.
No. People need to know this is important for the conversation. Brian MacDonald is the bassist for the band PVRIS, and it's their. I absolutely adore all of them. I absolutely adore all of them.
We all adore him more to the point where it like outweighs him adoring for us. Him adoring for us.
Yeah,
but it's but no, like going back to that where it's like, you know, it's very food based, and like we reach back to being nostalgic, like we were saying.
Yep.
You know.
And you were talking about how.
Yeah,
you're touring. You know, you're very privileged in a way to do it, but it is
very, very much so grateful. You know, and it's like I work with, you know, two people that are so talented. And Lindsay, she plays in our band, and she's the main writer, and she does basically everything, and she's just so like, you know, out there, and she's just great, you know, to work with. And, you know, Nils and I, you know, for whoever's listening, we've been friends for how many years? Way past, like, it has to be past a decade, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, at this point.
And, I always knew that we were going to have a longevity in our friendship. And I guess it came to the point where, you know, we reached a point where I was like, dude, I'm going to be on tour in Ireland, like, and then you were like, it was a conversation where it was just like, our paths were crossing at the perfect point.
That's right.
Where it was like, it worked out perfectly.
You guys came to Boston.
Yeah. And then, it was Boston. And then we were like,
we played the House of Blues there on Lansdowne.
And then you were saying to me, you were like, dude.
I'm like, hey, I'm gonna FYI, I'm going to Ireland. I know you guys are playing Belfast. We can either do like a northern trip or a southern trip. And I was like, would you be interested in hanging out if we were in Belfast? And you were like,
it literally worked out perfectly.
You were literally like, yes. You're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
and I remember being in Belfast, and I remember contacting you, and you were like, yo, we're here. Like, you know, and like, you know, John and everyone, you know, Matt, Lori, you know, like, just lovely humans. Like, you guys were there. And then we were hanging out, and with like touring and all this stuff, like, you know, with this, you know, what we're talking about, I got to hang out with Nils, and you know, someone who I adore very much.
We got to see some castles.
Yeah, see some castles, and, you know, like, you know, with people he really cares about. So it was like, it was very, you know, it was great for me to separate myself from, like, you know, playing music for a second and like doing those things,
right?
And you know,
exactly, and
it was great.
That's exactly how this whole thing started. Was like, oh, Brian, let's like, you know, you're playing tonight, but let's hang out before the show. We'll go do a couple things. You'll do the show, and then we'll say goodbye.
Exactly,
and whatever. Yeah, and so we're like, and you're like, oh, cool, that sounds cool. And so we go and we see we're walking around castles. We're just having an absolute
second castle.
We were an absolute blast, just laughing hysterically. And finally, you know, we go to the second castle, and we're like, all right, well, let's get, you know, we're in Ireland. Let's go grab a Guinness quick. And so we pop into like a little pub down the street. And you made like a joke, like we're all sitting around like a table.
Yeah.
And you made a joke like you were like, hey, how funny would it? You were like,
yeah.
I don't know. What did you say?
It was just like, how funny would it be if I actually like stayed here? Because you were staying in Belfast and I was on tour, and then we were going to Scotland the next day. But you were like, how funny would it be like if you actually stayed with us and then we went to, so like, backtracking. So like, we were talking about like Game of Thrones and all this stuff, and we were just like, you know, just talking to talk, you know, in a way where we were all catching up and like getting to know each other. Nils and I already knew each other, but, you know, mind you, people that are listening, I was meeting his friends for the first time, you know, ever. You know, ever. So,
that's true. I didn't even think about that, actually.
Yeah, so it was like very small talk, but it got to the point where we were all so like in tune with each other, and we like, you know, we were like, how funny would it be if, you know, you stayed over for the night? Like, you stayed in Belfast, and then my band was, you know, traveling to Scotland, and they, you know, like they had time off, and then, you know, we had a day off essentially. You know, it's like, it was all collective.
It worked out so perfectly where you were like, oh, I actually have a day off tomorrow, and like, it just, I don't know, the stars absolutely aligned, and it was like, oh, and by the way, we have it at our Airbnb. I was like, we have a full extra spare bedroom.
And, literally, it wasn't like spare bedroom. It was literally a suite. So it's like, I don't know why you guys separated. I don't know if it was like you thought the house was haunted or anything. But it was like, I went upstairs and I laid down in this bed and I had my own. I wish whoever's going to listen to this, I want you to understand. I walked up into an A-framed like bedroom, and it was beautiful. Mind you, it's like by this riverside, and like Belfast,
Oh,
Ireland. Like
that
you
house
have to paint this picture yourselves. Whoever's listening to this,
That house is beautiful.
it was beyond words, and had my own bathroom, and I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, you had
like
your
this,
own separate
I feel like this is like a pyramid scheme in a way. I was like, this is
like as you go up to the next bedroom, we like lock the door.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on here? There's definitely something going on. But no, it was
dude. I just everything just worked out, and so the whole thing just turned out to be like this joke. Like it was just like I was like, how funny would that be? And then I was like, well, wait a minute, we actually do have an extra bedroom. And I was like, in all seriousness, we do actually have an extra bedroom.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but how funny would that be if I actually say it? I'm like, no, seriously. You're like, wait, are you serious? And I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Like it was, like
and it was back and forth. And then from my perspective, it was like, you know, I had to check with like obviously the band, and then like, you know, everyone that was like on the road, and they were like, dude, do your thing, stuff, you know. And it was just like they knew that I wanted to see someone that I grew up with, and I wanted to hang out with, and like, you know, just indulge in this time that I had,
right?
In this area where it's like, you know, bringing it back. I played a show in Boston, you know, and we were there, and then we were talking, and we were like, you know, like our paths will, you know, like possibly cross, like our paths will possibly, yeah. And it actually happened, and I went back and I talked to Lindsay and Alex, and they were like, dude, stay, and like, you just hang out, have fun. And it's like, they're my humans, so it's like going to them and being like, is this cool? They're like,
my
yes,
humans.
They're my humans, dude. I love them so much. And they're like, do it. And I remember booking my flight before we played the show. So mind you, people that are listening or will listen to this, you know, we were hanging out prior to me actually like booking the trip there. So it's like we went to that castle, and I knew Nils was there, and we linked up, and you know, like you were saying, like it was like a spontaneous kind of thing.
Right.
And then it got to the point where I booked my trip, and then I played a show in Belfast, and I had Nils, Matt, Lori, you know, John, and you know, these lovely humans that I, you know, have grown to call family, you know, like, there. And I got to leave the show and go and stay with them at this beautiful Airbnb in Belfast. And, you know, to get on to the next topic of food, you know, like, let's get to food, because I'm actually, you know, like, I love food myself. You know, I'm not a foodie, but Nils really knows food and knows more about it to the point where I'm like, I have to ask questions.
Well, so I think it was also too, like, it's important, like, where you when this trip happened, that our paths crossed in Ireland. Like, I think it's also important that they understand, like, kind of like where you were with like touring.
Yeah,
and you were just kind of like, you just needed like a reset button.
Yeah, I guess it was just like a nice little, like, you know,
like a refresh.
It was a refresh, you know, because it's like I am so grateful, and I'm able to tour, you know,
absolutely,
months out of the year. You know, like it's like, you know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like I get to tour the world with, you know, my two, like I said earlier, like my two humans, like like Lindsay and Alex are like two people that I really look up to as musicians, and you know, I'm so grateful to create with them. And like, you know, Lindsay especially, she's just like this energy where she's like very like, you know, like dominant in that sense of just like being creative, you know. It's really it's thriving in a way, you know. And we're all humans in that sense of like being able to, like, as grateful as I am to tour.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's great, you know, like, you know, telling everyone, but it's like you kind of need you need a reset, you know, like you need that refresher.
Absolutely.
You know?
With anything,
you know,
you can be doing anything.
You can love everything that you do, but you just need a little refresher. And it's like, you know, we've all done it, you know, like we've all like, you know, taken that trip or just doing that stuff. But, you know, this was that little point where I felt I needed to like just hang back on a day off, you know, and just hang out with Nils, you know, and it's like, you know,
I just hit that reset button.
yeah, it was that nice, where it's like we had that time before the show, and, you know, Lindsay and Alex, you know, they approved it where they're like, yo, like, you can hang back and do your thing. And I was just like, I was very grateful for that. And, you know, going into more so like the food aspect, it was just like really cool to have that from people that I look up to so much, where they're like, hang back and see friends that you haven't really seen much. Yeah. And knowing Nils, you know, for as long as I've known him, it's always been like a very like, you've been very like involved in food. Like you've been like
since day one.
Yeah, since day one. But it's always been like, it was a thing where I wanted to know more. You know, like after you know, meeting up with you and like hanging out and like you would cook and these things, like there was a passion, just like how, you know, like, you know, I love playing music. I love doing these things. Like there was a passion with it where I was just like, this is cool. You know, like I want to know more, because like I didn't know this world. Like I didn't know that world. You know, like I wanted to know more about that.
And that's super cool. Like once you start developing like an appreciation, like you start to realize like, oh, this is somebody's art. Like this is how they're expressing themselves through this. Just kind of like how you do your thing through kind of like your music. Mm-hmm. It's very like, you know, this is how this person's expressing themselves. And I think that, and I think especially in terms of food, I think love has a big impact on food. Like,
oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
Like it is the way to be like, to show those other people like, oh, you know, I cared about you. You know, I wanted you to come over here and have the absolute best meal.
Of course. Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And I think that's like, you know, it's a great way for people like, well, I think especially like for somebody like myself, I think it's a great way to like, be able to express yourself and show that emotion. And I think it's one of the, for me personally, I think it's one of the only ways I really kind of know how to do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we were talking about like you, I think earlier, like with your music, like kind of like you were saying, like, it's just like, you know, that's just how you, you know, that's you, that's part of you. That's how you're expressing yourself through that. And I think a lot of chefs, a lot of cooks, are like
do that. And I find that like so beautiful, and it's like you said, like it's a form of art. So it's like when you actually sit down and like think about how food is it's love. Like you actually, if you were having people over your house, or like if you're having someone over, you know, like again, like over your house for a dinner or for a lunch, it's like, and you're cooking something, like you put thought into it. It's love. It's like a passion. It's like something where it's like, there's no way where it's like, you know, someone can say it's not an art. There's no way, because it is an actual art to actually, you know, sit down with someone and you know, like not even with
if it's
someone,
your grandma,
but it's like if your grandmother's visiting for like, you know, lunch, but it's like they mean so much to you, and you want to, you know, create this meal that is just like, like they will remember that. You know, it's like memorizing. You know, it's So it's like with that, I find that so beautiful, and it's like, you know, it's memorizing for me.
Do you think that's in my mind? You can totally feel free to disagree with me, but in my mind, that lines up very well with what you do, though. From the stage, because you're up there trying to please, you know, people to, you know, to a certain degree. You're up there trying to put on a good show that you want them to be like, oh, that was worth the money to go see.
Of course,
the band, right? Yeah. So I feel like that's almost like the same, or I feel like that's up there in that same kind of spectrum. with the wanting to see that appreciation and wanting to.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that doesn't make sense.
No. It makes total sense, and it's like it's an art, like like cooking and creating something for someone to sit down across from you and share a plate with you. That's art, and you want it to be, like an indulgence of like that person across from you is like really connecting with you. Yeah. So it's like, along with music, it's like, you want people to be with you, and it's like, it's connection. And, I feel like we never lose that sense of like connection, and it's like, it's never that like sense of like being like drained and being like, it's because like the thing is like, to be honest, I've seen people do that, and it's like, it's not fair to the person that's buying a ticket to the show. And it's like, it's not fair to someone that's buying, or excuse me, like paying money to eat at your restaurant,
Yeah.
So it's like, it kind of falls in that same spectrum, but it's like performing, like, again, like I'll go back to it. It's like performing with Lindsay and Alex. It's like, they are so involved in putting out the best show ever. Yeah. And that is so beautiful to me. And I feel like I'm like, this is what drives me to be who I am as a musician. And then, like touching back with, food and like having like that kind of incorporate, it's like, you want to make sure that you are giving the best presentation of who you are and like, how it represents you, and I find that like so beautiful, because it's like, like I'll keep going back to Nils, because Nils is sitting here and he's laughing, he's turning around in a chair, and I'm looking at him. But
live from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah. I guess like, where we're getting at, where it's like, in my perspective, like we tour so much out of the year. We're constantly touring. And I'm so grateful to do it, but also I'm grateful to have friends like Nils sitting right next to me here in my apartment doing this podcast, which is very spontaneous, and I love it. But it's actually genuine, Yeah. And to be able to see him in another country, and then like have people that I really care about, and I look up to as musicians, and I create with. Yeah. It's really cool to like incorporate both aspects in that. And then when food comes into play, it's like, my band is foodies. Like me, Lindsay, and Alex, like, like we love food. Yeah. And like, we make a joke where like, we eating good. Like, it's like, we will go somewhere and like, we'll go to a restaurant, we're like, we eating good. Like, this is good. It's like in an aspect where it's like, we appreciate food as art, because that's what it is. It's like, yeah. And I love that, and I romanticize on that stuff. I really do. Like, I romanticize on how food is made, and like, these spices, and like how you can incorporate like this with this, and like, like who's to say like you shouldn't try this sauce with this, like this protein. And it's like it's an art. It really is. Like, at the end of the day, and it's like
when you go to the soda fountain at McDonald's and you try all the sodas mixed in one cup. Who's to say? Who's to say it's my creation, Brian?
And it's like, who's to say no one has done that? It's like, but it's like how you actually like, I like it. But it's like, like getting to where we are right now, and, kind of going back to, I was able to spend a few days with you in Belfast.
In Belfast, yeah. So that whole thing just it worked out absolutely perfectly. We had the space. You just showed up, and so you like. I didn't know any of this until later, but like just like what you were just telling me is like, oh man, that was like the perfect timing. I needed like a little refresher, and like that just makes me so happy. Like I didn't mean for any of that to happen. It was just
no,
like, hey,
not at all. Yeah.
I was like, hey, I got an extra room, and like you want to just like crash and chill, and so yeah, so it was absolutely
it was you extending the invitation, being like, okay, you can stay here,
right?
You know, and it was like, you know, like you were saying, like it was just, I wanted to actually kind of just hang back for a second, you know. It was like, you know, I am able, like I keep saying, and I'm very grateful, and I'll always continue to say this in every spectrum. Like I'm so grateful to tour the world with humans that I love so much and shape me as a musician. And it's like, you know, like they are by far the best musicians I've been able to work with, you know, like, you know, Lindsay in particular and Alex, and like, you know, like, and I was just like, hey, is it cool if I stay back? And they were like, 100%. They were like, you know, they were like, yo, just take, like, we have an off day tomorrow. I was like, okay, great. You know, it wasn't anything where it was like, they were like, you know, no. It was, they wanted to just be like, yo, do your thing. And, you know, it was great. And, you know, they met Nils prior to, you know, me hanging out and staying over for the night.
Oh yeah.
And Lindsay, Lindsay and the whole crew met, you know, everyone, but
sure everyone knew me.
Yeah. Yes.
By
very much
point.
so. Yeah, very much so. But I guess where it's like, where food comes into play, it was like, I guess that's what we were saying earlier, where it's like, it was a very like, it was a point where I really like indulge in that nostalgic feeling in a way where it was just like,
you needed like a
it was a buffer. It was a refresher where I just wanted to hang out with.
You needed an at home feeling, right? Like
it's just at home. Yeah, it was constantly on the road, and it's like
that sort of no, that totally makes sense. Like if you're just literally traveling all the time, like like I understand, like at first glance it can be like almost romantic, like you're like, oh, that sounds awesome, but then if you actually think about it, if you're on the road like all the time like that, I would imagine it can be like, I understand.
Of course.
I totally understand that you're grateful. I'm not trying to take
no, of course.
I understand you're totally grateful. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like I totally get like you know, I go to Germany for 12 or 14 days, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to get home. You're on the road for like
I guess it's just like it's that like different perspective, you know. It's like, because it's like, you know, with my line of work and what I do, it's like I'm with these people all the time, and I love being with them. It's never a separation of being like, I need to get away from you. There's never that, you know. Yeah. And I'm so grateful to, like I keep saying, like, and it's not like, you know, brown nosing them right now, being like, I love you so much, but it's like, it's like, I look up to them as people, you know. It's not music, not only as musicians, but I look up to them as like humans, because they carry themselves in a way where I'm like, this is a group I want to surround myself with,
right?
In every part of the world. It's not like it's like we're here for like, you know, a second and then it's like tour is done. But it's like, you know, it's like I'm so grateful to like learn from them and like, you know, grow with them. But it's like, you know, like we said before, it's like, you know, it's nice to have that time off where we all feel that, where it's like, it's nice to have a few days off where you can kind of just like bask in, you know, that feeling of just like, you know, catching up with someone. Because it's like we said earlier, it's like we met up in, you know, you came to the show in Boston, and you were like, I'm going to be in Belfast. I was like, okay, we're going to be touring in the UK and Ireland, and our paths crossed perfectly. And you know, like
We just made it happen.
literally going back to what we were saying. It's like
Actually, Matt O'Leary actually had a lot to do with that. Shout out to Matt O'Leary if he probably doesn't listen to this.
Yeah.
But shout out to Matt. Matt, if you listen to this, shout out. Because he actually stepped up and he was like, we should definitely make sure we do like a northern route so that we can be up there. Because he's like, I want to go to that show. He's like, that'd be so much fun.
My boy Matt is out here, dude.
He's like, we gotta see Brian.
And then
He actually had a lot to do with
also
that. He made that
picked
happen.
us up in the car,
Yeah.
and then like we drove to this
Drove
beautiful
us
castle, and then like more castle. But it was just like, and then that was the whole, you know, like pinpoint of like me staying and like, you know, talking to everyone, and we stayed. But getting to the point of just like, you know, like staying. You know, at the Airbnb. It was
the night before we get there, you have to drive through like a river to get.
Oh yeah.
To get to the actual Airbnb. This place used to be like it was some sort of a cotton mill or something, but it has a working water wheel attached to the actual house, and there's a river that runs underneath the house.
It's beautiful,
and you actually have to drive through the river to get there, which they don't really tell you in the.
It can be Brian,
like in the Airbnb description, like they don't really tell you. So when you arrive at like 9:30 at night, and you're like, I don't know, is this the Airbnb? And all you see is a number, and then it's just like a lake in front of you, and you're not sure if you're supposed to drive.
Should I drive through this, or should I swim through it?
You just have no idea. Like I'm like, I don't know what, but anyway.
But I guess like from my perspective, it was just like it was great. But it's like we played the show, and then I said goodbye to my whole camp, and then they took a ferry, and then they went to Scotland. And we're in the car, and another shout out to Matt. Like he drove us back to the Airbnb, and it was like what was it like 45 minutes away? It was like roughly,
And it was a very cramped car.
It was a very cramped car, and
I mean, I feel bad for you. You had to sit next to me, and it was like.
You felt bad. I loved that. I love that actually.
You just feel safe.
I love that. I felt very safe. But it was just like it was so interesting because it's like I was going into this like this world where you had already been spending time there, and you had already been traveling with these people. So you've been traveling with Matt and Lori, you know, and John, and who are lovely, amazing humans. And I love them so much, and I will say that like on this, I'm like I love you guys so much.
They're the worst,
you know. Absolute best. It's opposite. Yeah, it's opposite day for Nils. But it was just so good to the point where, you know, we spent time. I remember we went to the first castle, and it was just like, you know, like I left the venue, and I was traveling with Nils, Lori, John, and Matt, and like we, you know, I was just getting to know Matt, Lori, and John. It was like
I think we're a Blasting state champs.
Yeah. We were shout out to Tyler, Ryan, Derek, you know, like Evan. I love you boys. Like Tony, I love you too. But we were just like, you know, it was just like a new, like you meet new people. You know, it's not like you're gonna like give your full self to someone right away, right? Like you have to like really let them in, but it's like you have to be cautious. And you know, meeting Matt and Lori and John, it was just like I was able to be my genuine self, like how I was around my band, you know, and being with them, and you know, with them meeting you guys, they saw that and they loved you guys so much.
So you just felt like super comfortable.
It was a family, you know. So it's like, you know, it wasn't me essentially like overstaying my welcome. It wasn't me being like, I'm like staying with you, and it's like, oh, it'd be cool if I stay with you. But is it cool if I stay with you? Like, it wasn't like a...
No,
it was just like... It
was so genuine.
It was genuine, like, you know, and it was just like pure and skipping all that, let's get to food, right? So let's actually get to the food part. And
I want to start it the next morning after
the next morning.
So the night before, we sat up chatting, sipping Irish whiskey by the wood stove, and it was a lovely conversation. It was great, you know, genuine conversation.
It was very genuine, you know.
So next morning,
and then I woke up, and this is from my perspective, and Nils can tell it from his perspective, but, you know, I woke up and, you know, I heard nature around me. It was beautiful, and, like, mind you, we had just played the show the night before, and then we got back to the Airbnb in Belfast, and it was like, we crossed this, like, massive river, and, like, we got to the Airbnb. We're like, oh, we made it. And we just sat down and had, like, you know, genuine conversation. Like, everyone was just, like, there, just talking and, you know, actually engaging in conversation. And, like, phones away. And, like, there was nothing where someone was, like, checking their text messages or checking their email. It was just, like, genuine conversation. And then, you know, like, again, from my perspective, I went to sleep. I went up to this beautiful room that was, like, on the other side of the house. Like, I was actually kind of, like, I'm not even kidding you guys, like, whoever's listening, I was kind of scared because it was like, so Nils knows more than I do of, like, he stayed there obviously more days than I did, but it was like, everyone stayed at the lower level. So it's like, it was a beautiful stone house on this river, and everyone stayed at the lower level, and then I stayed, like, 2 levels up. Like, so it was like, I was separated from the whole house. So it was like, mind you, like, I left, like...
So you're like, you go up there, you're like, murderers?
No. I was just like, I wasn't skeptical. I was just kind of just being like, all right, this is like, I am sleeping in a different part of the house. I'm sleeping in a different world. But it's like,
anything could happen.
Yeah. I was like, I definitely put my phone on, like, the mobile Netflix, and I, like, had it playing in the corner.
You crossed into the Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, I had it playing, and I was like, I kind of, like, peeked my eye open, my right eye open. I would, like, look around. I was like,
Netflix.
This is beautiful, but, like, this is dark up in here.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
The breakfast. Oh, man. I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah. Mind you, people that are listening, it's 6:25 a.m. So.
Oh, yeah, it is 6:20.
So at this point,
we just got back. We're in, I don't know if we even said it, but we're in Brooklyn right now. We just got back actually from we did a little food and, like, little drink tour. Little baths and.
Well, hopping around.
Saw some of my friends, saw some of your friends.
Mm-hmm.
We did a little.
It was nice.
Hopping around. But anyway, yeah, we're just sitting here talking.
Yeah. So at this point, it's 6:25 a.m. So going back
Scott's asleep on the couch.
Scott is asleep on the couch right here. I love this guy. He's snoring. But, like, going back to, you know, the Belfast, you know, trip.
Wherever we were.
And wherever we were. Breakfast. I cannot wait. It's 37 minutes and I can see the time. I cannot wait to tell you how this breakfast was. So, this is from my perspective, and Nils can fill it in from his perspective. I woke up and I heard, literally out of a fucking dream, like, birds chirping, sun literally gazing in the window where I was staying, and it was, like, so refreshing. I didn't wake up from an alarm. Like, I did not set an alarm. I woke up from the actual sun shining into this room, right? So it was like, it was,
because there's a lot of skylights.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know, like, I just heard nature in itself, and I felt like so connected, and it sounds so cheesy, and people are going to be like, you're lame. It's like, no, but really, that's what I felt. Like, I felt so connected with that. And then I heard down the stairs. Mind you, I was sleeping in a separate corner of the house. I heard in the echo of, like, literally, in the distance, heard Ben Howard. And I'm a huge Ben Howard fan. And the night before, we were talking about Ben Howard, and we were talking about, you know, what he does as a musician, and I really
you were talking about Ben Howard.
I was
listening going, I should really start listening to this.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. It was like, I should start listening. And we were like enjoying a nice whiskey, and we were like right by the wood stove. And I woke up, and like I said, from my perspective, it was so beautiful, and it was like so refreshing to have this like home feeling. Like it was like I felt like I was home in a place where I wasn't. I guess like. I was home in a place where I wasn't knowledgeable about the area,
right?
Which is like a really weird thing to say because it's like
rare.
Yeah,
it's
like a lot of people can't do that, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up, got up, brushed my teeth, and I walked downstairs. And here's where we're going into food, and it's going to be in depth because this is where I was like, Nils is an amazing cook. And he's laughing right now, and he's like, and he, mind you, I was with him all night tonight, and he, like, we like went out to places, but like, we're going to places where he wants to indulge tomorrow. Today. Yeah, we're gonna sleep for a few hours, and then we're gonna go. But, you know, I woke up, and I walked down these stairs, and, you know, like, I went into this, it was a beautiful open living room, and
the wood stove was
going. And it was just a place of just like, you just felt like you actually needed to be there. Like your soul needed to connect with where this was, like this environment. It was just so beautiful, you know? And I remember like walking into, you know, the living room, and like I was waking up, and it's like you're at that point where it's like you were staying there for, you know, like, mind you, I just agreed to stay. No, I didn't agree, like I wanted to stay with these people that I care about so much.
Yeah.
You know, like the night prior, and I didn't want to, you know, I guess like interrupt or like, you know, like overlap your schedules of what like you did, you know? Yeah.
Perfectly normal, absolutely normal human reaction.
Of course. Yeah. It's the whole normal like human reaction, but
if you're a polite person.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I remember walking to the living room, and I just like had this like sigh of relief, just literally just like this breath of just like fresh air in a sense. And then after that, I gave it out. Yeah. And then I literally, I'm not even kidding. This isn't like to like fit the podcast. Right through the nostrils, I literally was breathing in, and I was like, oh my God. And I turned the corner, and Nils is cooking. And I'm like, dude, how are you awake? Like, the thing is, like, I was awake already. And I was like, okay, it's cool. But it's like, how are you awake and cooking? I guess that's where I was. I was like, how are you awake and cooking food?
I've been cooking for a while too. I don't know. I just woke up. I don't know. It's just weird because most times I sleep, and you can't even wake me up. But I don't know. I just woke up early that day.
I just woke
up early, threw on Ben Howard and started cooking breakfast. It's just what I did. I don't know.
And I loved it. That was like so amazing because it was like I came down to see you do what you genuinely love to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like,
that's true.
The night before, like we were at the show, and you were like, "Dude, like you are genuinely happy doing what you do," and I'm like,
"Yeah,
I love this, and I'm so grateful to do it." But it's like I guess separating myself from what I do, and then like waking up to like a beautiful morning in Ireland, and like really taking that into perspective, and then walking down and seeing you do what you loved, and you told me that night prior, you were like, I love to cook. I love to host people, and I love to make them happy.
Yeah.
With this amazing
art
that I have. It's like we said prior. It's like it's an art, and it's like I remember waking up and you doing that. You know.
So what I made that morning was a whole like just a plethora of things.
Oh, it was a beautiful plethora.
The night before, I think it was the night before, or 2 nights before. Yeah, it was the night before.
It was the night before. We did raviolis. Yeah.
So no. So wait, no. So it was actually. So what I'm talking about was the night before the raviolis. Before you were there.
Okay.
We had ribeye steaks, which was awesome in Ireland, because we just went to their normal, like, I think it was like Sainsbury's, like, like the normal,
Sainsbury's,
just like the normal Sainsbury's,
not Sainsbury's. They love
yeah. Sponsor me.
Sainsbury's, please.
No, so we rolled into Sainsbury's. When you go to the meat counter, first of all, they have like a bunch of meats that you can't get in the United States, like at a normal, a normal supermarket, which I thought was awesome. When I asked for the ribeyes, she cut them to my order, so it was like she took the whole ribeye, like the whole rib roast, and then was like, how do you want? And then it was all like Irish grass-fed beef. So what we did, we had the mashed potatoes that night, the ribeye steaks, and we had leftovers. We had some ribeye steaks and mashed potatoes, stuff like that. So I made a ribeye steak hash.
Yeah,
with potatoes, onions, and then
and the duck fat
and the potatoes. Because also Sainsbury's over there, you can get a giant thing of duck fat for like €3. Which over here, like a tiny one, is like in a specialty food market. It's like
$3,000.
It's like $20 or $30.
yeah.
Like
it's
a tiny
over exaggeration.
And the one at Sainsbury's you get is seriously like it's like as big as this candle here. It's it's like €3. I'm like, that's insanity. Like, I'm like, I love this country. Like, I want to go back here. So I cooked the potatoes in the duck fat. We had the ribeye hash. We had sausages, and then we had Irish rashers because. You're in Ireland.
We're in Ireland.
Instead of bacon, you gotta get the traditional rashers.
And mind you, I am just indulging at this point, and I'm so grateful that there's a cook like Nils in the kitchen, because it's like this is literally going back to what I was saying. I walked down into the kitchen, and I was like, this smells great. And then Nils, mind you, he was like, dude, there's like, you can take photos out here and this, and like,
I like how
I love to take, it was so, bro, cute. It was adorable. I loved it. And you were like, you can take a photo, and I love taking like film photos and like, just photos in general, and
It was a great.
It was just like
great spot. For
it was great, but
and
like
a great morning.
It was just something where, like Nils was cooking a fantastic breakfast, and I remember walking down to the river, and I took a photo, and I remember looking up the house, and in my head I was like, we are going to have the best day.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, and I based that off of like you cooking and like you making this meal. I guess it was like a weird thing, because it's like, I knew we were going to have a fun day.
Yeah.
Like that was like, it's inevitable. Like we were going to have a great day, but I guess it made it more so like a more enjoyable day, because it's like you were cooking a fantastic breakfast.
Yeah.
And it was like something where it wasn't like you were like, I planned this out, I planned this, but it was like, it was everything that you had.
That was leftovers.
And it was leftovers, but it was to the point where it was like, if I was to come over for breakfast and not know that those were leftovers, I'd be like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And it was I wish, to the people that are listening to this, I wish that I could describe.
Nobody listens to this.
The meal. We're rambling on. It's almost an hour in, but it's like, I wish.
That's what we're trying to get.
I wish.
That's the goal.
I wish that I could describe to you the taste that it is. It's like,
it was good.
It's like when someone like this is very funny. This is funny. It's like when someone's like, I took a shot of like wheatgrass. Like, it tastes like the smell of like a fresh cut lawn. It's like, yeah, like, it's like that. I understand that, but it's like, how I describe food to the point where it's like, it's more of like it goes past the feeling. It goes far past the feeling of like being able to describe it. It's like
if
you
you're talking
have
to
be,
the wrong person, they'll be like awkward. They'll be
they're like, what?
It's like, calm down.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like, do you really enjoy it that much? I'm like, I do though. Like, I love.
When we're talking to
much.
someone like me, I'm like, keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Like, how did you like that? Like, you know, like that sirloin steak. It's like,
how caramelized was the garlic?
Yeah.
Is that cream fraiche?
How heavy was, you know, like, it's like, it's just like to the point where I actually get down to that point where I describe food like that, and dude, obviously everyone loves food, like, they need to eat it to survive, but it's like, I love it to the point where it's like, when I'm with someone that is like, in that realm of like, food, like, they create, I love it that much more because it's like, it's beautiful to see them like so enthusiastic and like, not even, but just like so involved in creating this like, this dish, you know? It's like, and it's like, and they hand it to, and like, they give it to you unless, I remember you making breakfast and it was like, it was a different atmosphere in the sense of like, I can cook breakfast right now. It's 6:30 in the morning. I can cook breakfast
6:40 in the morning.
6:40, and I can do that. But it's like there was something with it where it was just like, and I remember asking, it's like, "Do you need help?" You're like, "No, I'm good." And there was that form of just like you're in your element, like and I was just so happy to like eat what you were making. You know, it wasn't like where it's like, okay, he doesn't want my help. Okay, I'm just gonna eat whatever. It was like I want to help you out, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like really cool to see you in your element, and then create this dish where I sat down and I remember taking a photo. I remember taking a bite and then taking a photo of me, you, Matt, and Lori, and John.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I took a photo of you guys, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is a meal. This is not only like, you know, like, it's not something where you're gonna get up from a diner and go, okay, and then you pay your tab and then a tip, and then you go, I'm gonna go on with the rest of my day. It was something where it was just like a feeling where we just felt so connected in a way. Right. I guess it obviously like passes that point of like sitting down and eating food. It's like, it's that point where it's like we're enjoying each other's company with this food that's so good, and we're able to do that. So it's like that. I guess you know, essentially it's like that food is the core of us doing that. You know, in a way, which I loved that, and that was my favorite point of hanging off, you know, on that hanging off on that like off day, you know, like I already knew that we were indulging in food and like and then we like planned those trips, but it was just like being I feel like the pinpoint of my trip of being in Belfast and staying back on, you know, like a day off, it was us eating and like I feel like we definitely became closer, you know.
No, and that's a huge theme of what we actually talk about a lot.
Yeah.
As part of this kind of podcast, the Cakes and Eggs thing is like, you know, we go back and we explore themes of, you know, like what was that emotion that you had when you were, you know, a child eating this, like this nostalgic feeling and like all this stuff, and that just absolutely goes perfectly with like, you know, you have all these amazing memories and like that's exactly what we try to get that out of most of our guests that we can bring on the show. It's like that kind of thing, so it's perfect because that works right into it. Yeah. But no, that's awesome. I mean, we have a big day ahead of us. We have
where are we going?
Russ and Daughters is where I want to take you.
We're doing that
for breakfast.
We're gonna do that for breakfast.
Yeah,
and then
like that's Locke's like good bagels, the good Jewish bagels like the real ones.
I will indulge.
Not grocery store ones.
Yeah,
Not the grocery store bagels like you were saying. But we're gonna go there. That's I think that's over by actually kind of like where we just were. To be honest.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of near like Cat's Deli, like Houston.
We'll venture over.
But we'll hit that. And then I don't really have anything planned for lunch, but I have a few things planned for dinner. We're hopefully going to hit up Radagast in Williamsburg.
Let's do it. Let's do it,
dude. Shout out to Radagast. I went there. That place. I've been telling ever since Brian moved to Brooklyn. I'm like,
told me to go there.
Like, you have to go to Radagast, and he was like, "No, I'm not going until you're up here."
Yes,
no.
Mind you, I've lived here since July, so it's what, 7 months.
7 months,
and then
he lives right up the street from this place.
Yeah. He's like, you gotta go. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to this place, because it's like he's contacted me multiple times about it. It's not like it was like a one-time thing, and I was like, I went, and I was like, it was great. You know, it's like, okay, you're getting to the point where I need to go with you to this place.
Yeah,
there's no way I'm gonna go to this place by myself or to with someone else. There's no way.
So now he's just going with me. Hopefully tomorrow or today.
Today. We're
It's
gonna
7
go today.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we're gonna go today.
So
we're gonna do that.
I cannot wait to go to sleep. So let's wrap this up. I am so tired.
Exhausted, completely exhausted. Rambled almost for an hour.
But that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. I'm so tired.
That's what it's all about. Exhausted. Nils woke up at 6 a.m. yesterday.
No.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yesterday. And
it's now
he's been awake for literally over 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I've been talking his ear off about how he's one of my favorite cooks. So I'm hoping that, at the end of this podcast, he, will say on the podcast, dude, I will cook a meal for you before I leave. I hope whatever he wants to cook. He's more than welcome to cook anything, so I'm totally okay with it.
I guess I might dabble.
Dude, you can do it.
I'll cook whatever you want.
Wow, it will bring that nostalgic feeling.
I don't know. I like your setup here, so I kind of want to cook here because I see you got the Brian's got the gas stove here, and he's got a beautiful cast iron pan sitting right on top, and it is just calling my name. So,
it's it's for a meal. Maybe like we can do a second lunch here.
A second lunch
today.
We're like hobbits from Lord of the Rings. Second breakfast, 11sies. 11 dinner, supper. Today is going to be a nightmare for food. I'm actually really good. I haven't eaten anything today. I ate breakfast this morning, like I told you.
Yeah.
Came up here. You guys were getting slices down in Brooklyn. Get this, listening audience. This is a food-based podcast, and I actually passed up on a slice of pizza in New York City, in Brooklyn, at a great pizza place.
Really good.
Because I literally was just like not hungry. I was like, I can't.
He was.
I've been traveling all day, and I'm like, I'm not hungry. I haven't eaten since then. We've just been like up all night, just like traveling, talking, walking.
Yeah.
And I'm still not. I think I have to sleep.
Yeah,
I need a solid reset.
Yeah, and I think we'll do pizza before you leave. 100%.
Yeah, I gotta get a slice.
Yeah,
as long as I get like a bagel from New York, and,
a bagel, and then we're going to, was it Radagast?
Radagast, yeah.
We're going there for dinner.
German beer hall. I didn't even know if we went into that. Amazing.
Yeah. And then for lunch,
that's right in Williamsburg. That's right down the street.
That's right down the street. And then for lunch, we can cook here. We can do whatever you want to do.
We can do something awesome. I don't know what.
Mind you, guys, whoever's listening to this, and whoever will be fortunate to meet Nils, and fortunate, but it's like I guess in a way of like like eating whatever he cooks. when he cooks home fries, you need to be first in line. 100%. I'm telling you right now, 100%, because I remember being at the house in Belfast and I wanted like fifths of the home fries. 100%. And there was literally nothing left, and I was like, I could eat another pound of those home fries, but there's nothing left. So,
you know what it is? I think they're so good because I had that duck fat, though.
Oh, dude, it was so good.
We need that. I need that in my life here.
It was so good. It was so great. But I guess it was just like, the moral of all of this is just like, I guess it's just like, you're a great cook, you know, but it's like, it's obviously the food podcast, but it's just like, I guess it's like, I love to indulge in food, and like,
We're going to indulge today. Man.
We're going to indulge today,
Yeah.
but I guess I'm like somewhat of a foodie, but I am grateful to have someone like Nils where he like, you know, can tell me the ins and outs of these, you know, certain points of food. Like,
Well,
you can, and you have, and I'm like, this is great. Like,
now
I
my
know
ego
more.
is massive.
Literally, he's floating in my apartment right now. Yeah.
Purple rain.
Yeah. He's not even exhausted anymore. He's literally, his ego is giving him energy. No, but
Yeah.
I guess it's like, you know.
All right.
I guess, yeah. With
That's definitely it for me. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm
I need
exhausted.
to get a little bit of sleep. We're gonna regroup. We're gonna
We're
go
gonna
out. We're
regroup.
gonna get some food.
we're gonna get some food in like a few hours, and then venture around New York, and then do dinner.
Well, Brian, I literally just want to say, like, I'm so happy. Was so random. Like, this is such a
This
random.
is completely random. Like, I was just
literally like,
spontaneous.
I was literally like, can I just start recording this? And he's like, sure. Yeah. Like, I was like, all right, we're just going to just do a podcast. So we are recording this on an iPhone. Like, I apologize for the quality. I'm sure I'm going to, tell Vinny to give you a disclaimer in the intro, but you'll know. It's not like the best quality, like sound. And we have Scott over here snoring in the background. I mean, it's not like top notch audio over here.
Yeah, you'll hear like it kind of sounds like a ghost in the background, but there's definitely someone snoring.
But I mean, do you have anything you want to promote at all, Brian? Or you have anything coming up, or what do you got?
It's just
people what to look out for, or anything like that?
On my side, it's just writing music, playing music. I don't want to like be that person where like promoting. So I never want to plug
that's
it.
fine with me, man.
But
I didn't know you wanted.
No, of course, I know you're
Literally doing my passion project with podcast for like.
No, I know it's like I love you so much, and like the people that I work with in a band called PVRIS. We love food, like we were saying prior, and we love Nils, and we love just the whole, like, involvement that you have with this, this side of food, and, like, actually diving into it and having a conversation, because it's, like, it is an art, So, I find that, like I keep saying, intriguing, and I find that, like, fascinating to me, and to promote something where it's like I want to like spin it on you, like you are doing so much, in that way where it's like you're hosting people at your place and you're doing these dinners, and it's like so nice, and it's like something that people look forward to. It's really cool to see from my perspective, and
it's awesome, man.
It's cool. It's cool. He's blushed, and he's exhausted, by the way. He's
tired.
ready to go to bed. It's almost 7 a.m. We've been up. He's been up longer than me, so.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a while. Best top. Rank that. I want a 1 to 10 scale for that song.
It's been a while. I mean, people dog on that song.
Yeah.
It is definitely past like an 8.
Yeah, I agree.
But I guess it's like
nobody seems to agree
people are
with
just
me.
like, like that shit. It's like, well, are you like Did you write that song that is like so influential in a way where like people are like talking about it? You know,
now wait. Can you rate my rendition? Specifically my rendition. All right.
Sing it.
This is big.
Sing it. Please.
Ready? And it's been a while since I first saw you. It's been a while. How's that?
I almost fell asleep.
You're tough.
But in a way where it was very comforting. It wasn't like I fell asleep where I was bored. I fell asleep like I was comforted.
Oh, I see.
That was not insulting to any, like, the artist, and then how you sang it. Oh, I literally was like, I was comforted. Like, I felt very...
Alright, neither of us know what we're talking about anymore. We're gonna wrap this up. Alright, Vinny, wrap us up. Also, just so you know, Vinny Powell is who I do podcast with. He's gonna be doing... like the edit. He does most of the podcast on his own. I'm kind of doing like a solo one. He's been doing because he lives in Montreal. Okay. So he's probably going to be doing so shout out to Vinny and Colts. Colts, the other kid. He lives in Toronto area. Shout out to those are the other boys in the podcast. We hope to have you on again. I want you to meet them. You would have a great time.
I would love to meet them and then do another.
Remember, I think I texted you about it too. Like if I ever see that you guys are going to be up in like Montreal for like a show or something, I'm like,
please come out. You guys, please
I have
come
so
out.
many friends that like we would love to like literally like that's where they live. Like we could do hopefully
you guys
do a podcast with them.
More than welcome, and then let's do a podcast. Let's go get food. Let's go get food, and then let's talk about it.
That's what we're all about.
That's what I love to do.
All the food making and if you do the podcast at the house, we always make fresh cocktails. Like last time we did homemade whiskey sours and fresh shaken with the egg whites and everything for the foam and everything. So we'll take care
you guys are top notch.
We'll hook you up. We'll hook you up. So if you're
I'm not going to pay like $15 for a drink though, right?
No, it's free.
Okay, it's free. No. Wow, okay, I'll definitely do this podcast then.
If you do a podcast,
yeah, I definitely will do this. I'm 100%.
No, nobody. That's the thing with our podcast is the beer flows like wine and nobody ever goes home hungry.
Wow. I love you guys.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
That's the whole thing. So we didn't even eat on this one, which...
No, but the thing is we're going to eat all day today. Like, obviously to...
Yeah.
Not be malnourished, but we're going, we're going to eat throughout the day. And like Nils said, we're going to his favorite spots and I'm excited to indulge in that.
We're going to hit him.
Yeah.
And then you're off to LA for
LA and Sunday. Yeah. So we're getting in.
I guess
everything.
I'm just gonna sit in your apartment until I'm my trainer.
Yes. And you can literally get food anywhere around here. So it's you're good.
I mean, this is any bodega.
Any bodega.
I actually want to take a ride over to Harlem. Have you heard of the chopped cheese? You ever heard of a chopped cheese sandwich?
Is it do they?
I don't even understand it completely, but you get them at your local bodegas in New York. It's specifically a Harlem. I think, from what I understand, it's specifically a Harlem thing, and they sell them at the bodegas. And it's like a steak. It's like a type of steak and cheese sandwich. I don't even know because I feel like I'm gonna insult people. They're like, that's not what. But I've never had one. But I just know it's a big thing. I just know I really want a chopped cheese, an official one. From out here, but I don't know where to get them. So
are we going to do that for our third lunch or what?
Emailers, listeners, email in if you know where to get a chopped cheese in New York. Hit me up.
And then, Nils is going to be visiting again, so
yeah,
we will be able to go to the places that you actually know.
Yeah, give us a couple of places and we'll review them.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great...
I cannot review.
That sounds like a great day.
The thing is, I love food to the point where I cannot be
you're just
this
is delicious.
I just love food to the point where someone is they're taking their time to make the food. I love you so much. Let's eat this.
But I'm so hungry.
Let's get this bread. When people say, let's get this bread, I'm like, yes, let's
Brian, that's why I woke up so much earlier than you that day in Belfast, so that I could start cooking all that food before you got angry.
Before I got hangry.
Super hangry. Yeah.
Woke up, it smells delicious in the house. I was scared to sleep in this like separated part of the house, and then like I wake up and it's like,
and it's the most peaceful thing.
Oh wow, it's so peaceful.
By the way, Brian, thank you for coming on. This
Dude,
has been
thank you.
This has been so fun.
This is a
great weekend.
Yeah,
this is a great weekend. I'm looking forward to the rest of this weekend. I need to get some sleep now.
We're gonna get some sleep, and then
we're gonna go
indulge in some food for the rest of the day.
And who knows, if we have time, maybe we'll tell you how we liked our food for the day. If we have enough time,
we can do a little recap.
We'll see how the day goes.
Yeah,
we'll
it's 7 a.m. right now, and we've 7 stopped for an hour.
And we're going to sleep, and it's been an hour and 9 minutes, and that's enough. All right, take us out, Vinny.